Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm Patrice and today we are going to be tackling something that I've never done independently. Okay y'all, if this is your first time here, please be sure to give us a thumbs up and also click that subscribe button and head over to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and join Craftable Things there as well. But y'all, today we are going to be using our Ricoma EM-1010 to make an embroidered puff hat. And this is the first time that we're doing it. I also did the digitization, and you have to do some special things with digitizing these specific designs. So you want to make sure that you find some videos on that, because y'all, I'm still learning how to do that. However, if you purchase a design from online, you want to make sure that you specify that it's going to be used for a hat, and also that you will be using the foam for puff embroidery to get that done. Those are two very important factors in letting any digitizer know exactly how they need to digitize your specific design. But y'all, we are going to dive right in. All you're going to need for this project is a hat. Of course, you're going to need an embroidery machine. Again, I'm using Embroidery, my Ricoma EM-1010. In addition, you are going to need some foam, and that is what will make your design puff. So let's head over to our embroidery machine and let's get started. So now we're at Brody, our Ricoma EM-1010, and we're about to hoop this cap. And so you want to make sure that this part is face down when you're hooping your hooping cap, and then you want to make sure that this is the top. So this is the top part, and this is how you will align your cap to make sure that it embroiders correctly. Next, we are going to take this cap hoop and place it onto the cap station, and you want to make sure that you lock this in, and so you need to align that top to the top of the cap station and just push it in, and you will hear 3 clicks. That will let you know that it's on there securely. Those notches need to be locked. We are going to be embroidering a hat that I got from Michaels. This is a Make It Market hat, the Michaels brand hat, and we are going to be using tearaway stabilizer. And so you want to make sure you remove all that fabric that's folded over and just unfold it, because you don't want that to interfere with you embroidering, and that is how you get your hat to be hooped onto the cap correctly. So we are going to place that tearaway stabilizer underneath the silver tab on the top, and once we do that, we are going to slide the hat on top of the stabilizer, and the part that we folded from underneath the hat, we are going to make sure that that part goes underneath the silver tab, like I'm showing you guys right here. My hand was in the way a little bit, but you just want to make sure that that part is also underneath the silver tab. And so you may have to loosen that silver tab up just a bit, or just try to maneuver that material underneath. And so once that is done, you are going to be ready to really secure your hat onto the hooping station. So now we are going to take these binder clips. I call them binder clips because that's what it looks like, but these come with your machine, and you are going to take those and you are going to just tighten that hat up on the hoop. And before we do that, we're going to go ahead and lock the hat on, and there is a clamp on the right side where you will be locking that onto. But we're going to then take those binder clips and we are going to stretch the hat, not really stretch it, but we just want to make sure it's nice and tight. And we're going to attach those binder clips to the 2 bars that are underneath the cap. Now it's time to remove the flat bracket from the machine, and to do that, all I am going to be doing is removing the screws on the bracket, and we are just going to slide that right on out of our Ricoma EM-1010. And now it's time to place the cap driver onto the machine, and I'm just showing you the wheels underneath. Those wheels should be face down so that they can roll on the track underneath the bar correctly. And so now I am just making sure it's placed on there correctly, and I am going to lift that back part up a little bit to make sure that it fits on top of the bar, and we are just going to go ahead and screw that on to secure it. Make sure that you screw it on tightly. All right, so that's all set, and now we are at our machine and we are just at the display, and we are now going to get ready to upload our design into the Ricoma. And all Ricoma machines need the DST exchange file, so I went ahead, y'all, I digitize this, so it's not 100% correct, but we tried our best to digitize. We are definitely learning digitization. And so next I need to change the hoop, and so we are just going to click onto that cap, and once we click onto the cap, of course we're going to click the cap hoop, and we are all set to begin embroidering our hat. All right, so now everything is set. We want to select the correct colors, and now I am just selecting the colors based on not really the design, but just whatever color selections I choose. All right, so everything's looking good, and y'all, we are ready to start. And so now I am going to get ready to place the cap onto the hoop. And so you want to make sure you turn it either all the way to the left or to the right to really be able to slide underneath and turn correctly. And so once I have this situated, I am going to just make sure that it's aligned properly, and we are going to push that onto the cap hoop. And those same 3 clamps that you heard when you put it onto the cap station, you want to make sure you hear that as well, because that lets you know that your hat is secure on there. These 3 notches right here, you want to make sure that it clamps shut and it is not loose. So you just want to check it to make sure, and then if it is loose, you want to make sure you just push it a little bit. You may have to, you know, put a little pressure behind it. And so right now everything is set, and all 3 are in the lock position. That is very, very important. So everything is all hooped and it looks good. So now it's time for us to make sure this image is going to stitch exactly where it needs to. And so we're going to trace it. And so I am just going to do a closer trace just to make sure that it is not going to be hitting that bar, and that it is going to be stitching in the areas where it should be stitching in. And y'all, this looks really good. You do want to make sure that you align it correctly. You want it maybe in the center, or I kind of like to do it a little slightly off-centered for some designs, but you want to make sure that it is centered correctly as well. And so now we are going to get ready and start, and look how beautiful this is, and this is how fast that it's going at this time, but it looks amazing, and I'm going to speed this up for us. So now it's time for us to place the foam on top of the design. Everything has stitched out, but now it's time for us to get this done. And so what we're going to do is we are just going to place this on top of the design, and then I am going to place a pen somewhere along the edge just to make sure that it stays down. You definitely don't want your fingers nowhere near this area. But I'm putting it far away from any of the stitches. Right, and so we should be ready to click start again. So y'all, this was going really good and it was looking amazing up to this point. However, I had a few thread breaks, and when I had the thread breaks and I wanted to go back a few stitches, instead of pressing the arrows to move the needle, I was pressing the arrows that actually turned the hoop a little further to the left and to the right. And so when I removed it, I realized that I had stitched completely off, and yeah, it did not come out how it was supposed to be because those stitches ended up being all over the place because of my mistake. But I refused to be defeated, and so y'all, we hooped another hat, placed that hat onto Brody, and we started all over again. And right now, as you see, it is stitching the bottom two layers of the design before we place the puff foam on top. And you want to make sure when you're doing this that you don't have your machine set to automatic. It needs to be set to automatic manual, which gives you time to place the puff on top of the design when you need to place it on top of the design. But right now, as you guys see, it is stitching beautifully, and we are going to have an amazing hat. So I already placed that foam on top, and y'all know I sped through this because y'all didn't want to see all of that. And so I'm removing the pins now, but you can remove the pins when you get a chance, but I really don't like risk putting my hands underneath those needles. I just like to put the pins away from any action. And so now to remove it, you just click those three levers and you turn that hat to the side the same way you put it on. But so far that looks good. Now it's time to remove the hat from the cap hoop, and we are just going to unlock or unlatch all of these notches. And once we get that removed, all we have to do now is just slide the hat off of the hoop. I'm removing those binder clips, but all you got to do is slide it off now. Super, super easy. Next, I'm going to remove that tearaway stabilizer from the inside of the hat, and as you see, it comes out beautifully. Once we do that, it's now time for us to remove the foam, and it's going to be super easy to remove that foam. All you have to do is pretty much pull it off because those stitches caused a tear in it, and it's super easy to remove. And so I'm going to remove all of that, but y'all, I'm really impressed for my first time digitizing a puff file and getting it on there. I'm pretty impressed by how everything turned out, and yeah, this is our hat. I just got to remove those other little parts. Okay, y'all, so we are all done with making our hat. So here's the hat that, you know, we kind of messed up on, and as you see, I'm actually removing the stitches here, so I can remove all of that, and that's what I am going to do because I can still use that bottom part. Like, it's still cute underneath there, but this is what we had. And as you see, this is kind of what I explained briefly. When I pressed the wrong arrows, it shifted where those stitches were going to lay, and so this is what happened. So as you see, the Y and the T looked pretty good. Even the C was okay, but once I moved this part, it did not lay correctly, and yeah, as y'all see, we're missing an entire F right there. Now, for the hat that we stitched correctly, this is what we have, and y'all, it is absolutely beautiful. I totally love this hat, and I will be working a little bit more on my digitization skills and getting this done correctly. But the bottom, like the offsets behind it, those stitched perfectly. I'm really happy with how those stitched. But the puff part really does, like, you need to know exactly what you're doing for this puff part. But nonetheless, I'm completely thrilled with my hat. Yeah, I really like this hat. So a link will be listed below to all the materials that I used in today's project, in addition to the Ricoma embroidery machine that I used. A link will be listed below, and y'all, they are always having some amazing sales and financing options, so definitely click that link and check them out. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give us a thumbs up. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you are not already a subscriber, and head over to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and join the Craftable Things community there as well. That's it for today, y'all. Thank you all so very much for watching. Until next time.